Hey everyone on TikTok, we're going to be going live very, very soon. Just pressing go live on Instagram. And I can see that Instagram can see me just right if I stay sat here. Perfect. Okay. Right, so we are going to be going through today a selection of exam mistakes that I'm going to be recommending that you avoid based on looking at examiners' reports, past papers, and past paper questions. And because I'm doing it more like this, it also means that I'll have more of an opportunity to potentially see if any questions are coming through. So TikTok, I'll try and keep track here. Instagram and YouTube, I'll need to look over to be able to double check any questions that are coming in. Also, wearing my brand new Christmas jumper. I say Christmas jumper. It's a jumper I got for Christmas. It's obviously not a Christmas jumper. It's a Miss Esterick Biology jumper that I got for Christmas in my lovely blue brand colour. So let me have a look at the questions. Not questions, sorry. The things that I'd made a note of to go through. You might have actually seen me post some of these on Instagram and TikTok. TikTok always a bit ahead with my posts because I post on TikTok first and then it goes to Instagram. And I've been posting about mistakes and things to make sure that you're not doing after I've gone through some of the past papers in more detail. So if we start with the essay. Now this is going to be very specific for AQA A-level biology because it's the essay. But some things that I've picked up on recently from looking at the examiner's reports, in fact, when I say some, there's two things in particular. You may or may not be familiar with how the essay is marked. If you're not familiar, then I do have an entire playlist on YouTube going through how it's marked. Basically, everything you would need to get full marks on the essay I've got on YouTube. So what I'm going to focus on is a few little things I don't think people are quite as aware of how important they are. And the first one is this concept of significant errors. And it says in the mark scheme, you may have one significant error. You might have a few, you might have many, but you might not actually know what is a significant error and what counts as a significant error. So significant errors, according to the essay, are when you have incorrect biology. And it can be as little as one word is incorrect if you've consistently used it incorrectly. So for example, if you were writing a paragraph about photosynthesis, let's say, and you were talking about the coenzymes, and instead of saying NADP, which is the coenzyme used in photosynthesis, you said NAD. And if you use that word NAD repeatedly through your paragraph instead of NADP, that would count as a significant error. However, if you said NAD once, and the rest of the time you said NADP, they won't count it as a significant error because they'll class that as it was just a mistake that you made because of the nerves and anxiety in exam mode. So it's only if you consistently made that error. Now, the importance of bringing up these significant errors are, if you make one significant error anywhere in your essay, then you now can't get over 20 marks. And 20 marks is still an amazing mark. So you can't get over 20 out of 25 if you make one significant error. If you make two significant errors, you then can't get over 15 marks out of 25. So basically you go from, you're losing 5 marks for every significant error basically, because it caps you into the next band. And I don't think people are quite aware of what an impact these significant errors make. So the point here is, don't make significant errors, but you're obviously not trying to make them. But to avoid it, it's making sure you really do have secure knowledge. You're trying to make sure you've got time to check your essay, which you might not do, but try and check it if you do have time, making sure you really know the information to avoid those significant errors. The next thing is, linked to essay still, is how important your A-level language is, because you need to be writing mostly A-level language in most of the paragraphs to get over 15 marks. And if you aren't writing predominantly A-level language, meaning not just words that you would have known at GCSE, as in biology words, and making sure you're using A-level key terms that you didn't know at GCSE, you're explaining it fully in A-level detail, and that is in most of your paragraphs, then you are able to get over 15 marks. But if you're not doing that, you can't get over 15 marks. So those are the two things I wanted to bring up about the essay: significant errors, what they are, why it's so important you don't make them, and how important your A-level language is. And both of those combined is basically your knowledge. So it's really key to make sure that you are doing things like using flashcards to check you know the key terms for A-level, you know the definitions accurately, and just making sure that you are really confident with that information. So that's number one that I wanted to go through, essays. The next thing, also, I have to bring this up again. I know I bring this up every year, but I get new followers every year because new students taking A-level. So you might not have heard me say this, but the internet's definitely heard me say this every year. I really need to make sure that you are not being taught this wrong, because so many teachers and schools as a whole still are teaching this wrong for the essay. And it doesn't cost you marks if you do this wrong, it just wastes your time. And that is, each paragraph, you have to write 4 minimum, AQA recommend 5, so you've got an insurance. But those 5 paragraphs don't have to link together. They can be completely separate, not connected paragraphs. You just have to link it to the title. So if the title is the importance of phosphorus containing substances, then you just have to write 4 or 5 paragraphs about phosphorus containing substances like ATP, DNA, NADP, and making sure that you're linking it to why are they important. You don't have to link the paragraphs. And this is still taught incorrectly. Every year I have people saying to me on YouTube or Instagram saying, oh, but my teachers taught me that though. Well, your teachers were wrong. You don't have to do that. AQA have said this. You might have seen one of my, or I think I might have done 3 posts on it last year, where I actually screenshot the email I had from AQA confirming you don't have to do that. It's also in their mark scheme. They've got extra information that clarifies it. So yeah, you don't have to do those. Right, next. Mark scheme specificity. A few things that have come up recently about how specific you have to be with some of the things in the mark scheme. The first one I'm going to talk about is when you evaluate the conclusion and you're bringing up statistics. So with statistics, if you're bringing it up in terms of an evaluation question, and let's say they did have a statistic and it showed that the p-value was less than 0.05, what you should be saying then is, if that was the t-test, let's say, you'd say that this shows that you do have a significant difference. And if you were trying to say, that doesn't make sense. If you didn't have a statistic present and you were going to use that as an argument why you might not trust the conclusion, then what you'd need to say is they haven't done a statistic, therefore you don't know if you've got a significant difference, or if it was a correlation, you don't know if you've got a significant correlation. So the key thing is you have to say significant difference or significant correlation. Lots of students lost marks this year because they just said, I wouldn't trust the conclusion because they didn't do a statistic. But they thought they got the stats mark. We had to say, therefore, there's no significant difference. So yeah, that was one of the things. I'm kind of vaguely seeing comments come through on TikTok. How do I still do well even if my teachers don't teach me well? You're going to have to become a very good independent learner. Try and engage as much in your lesson as well. So even if you think your teacher isn't doing very well, it might be that you clash and you don't get on with their teaching style. It doesn't mean necessarily they're not very good. So try and engage in the lesson, ask questions, get involved, and then also do what you can as much as possible outside of lessons. So using whatever resources you might have, whether the school provides you with a textbook, or I've got all of my videos on there for free. Things like this, I go live every week for free. So there's lots of things that I offer for free to people that should help as well. Someone always said hello. That's why I was squinting earlier. I was leaning forward squinting because I was trying to see what the username was, to see if it was someone I knew, and then it disappeared and I didn't see. But whoever you were, hello. Right, next. Definitions. This has been a popular post I've put on TikTok recently about the definition of population. Out of interest, what would you say for a 2-mark question on define population? I'm going to see what we get, which means I'm going to have to look over here just to see answers that come in on Instagram and answers that come in on YouTube as well. TikTok I can see up there. But the question is, what would you say for a 2-marker, define population? Right, let's see the chat. I think I'm behind it on here in terms of the chat that's coming in. I'm going to turn to TikTok then. Okay, group of organisms of the same species, all that can interbreed. I didn't see who that was, but you were correct. Rubes. Same species, and they can interbreed to make fertile offspring. So yeah, Rubes correct. Someone just said I wouldn't answer it. Well, you're not going to get the marks. Have a go. A group of organisms of a species that live in a particular place at a particular time. That would get you 1 mark. Someone added in to produce fertile offspring. Yeah, that's it. So the 2 marks, I can see it's now coming in on Instagram. They must be a little bit behind. Emily, that's correct. Small sprouts, interesting name. You've got 1 of the marks. Anaya, you've got 2. Okay, so the 2 marks are, it's members of the same species living in the same area at the same time. All of that is 1 mark. Same species, same area, same time, 1 mark. Second mark is that can interbreed to make fertile offspring. And it does literally have that as a definition on the spec. So fair enough to have it in that level of detail. But in previous exams, it's never been a 2 mark question. It's always been a 1 marker where you just had to say members of the same species living in the same area at the same time. But for the first time ever, it came up as a 2 mark definition. So you had to add in, they can interbreed to make fertile offspring. So the reason I'm bringing that up is check your notes. This is from section 7. I think it's 7.3 or 7.2. It's topic 7 for AQA. You need to check your notes. You've definitely got it as a 2 mark definition in your notes. If you've got flashcards, then do that. And if you've got my flashcards, I updated them this year to reflect that. So if you bought and downloaded my flashcards before June 2024, then I do recommend you re-download them, because just if you aren't aware, my notes and flashcards I update every year. I look through the exams, the mark schemes, and I update my videos and resources every year to reflect the changes that they make. So just be aware of that. Right, next, what have we got? Oh, math skills. So the math skills one was, they've asked questions linked to the median a few times recently. They asked, when would you use the median and how would you calculate it? Those are the 2 things that come up. So when would you use the median? That would be if you have outliers and you don't have a justification to discard them. So there's no obvious reason why you would have got an anomaly. It is just variation in your results, but they are outliers. So for that reason, if you calculated the mean, you can't discard the anomalies. Those outliers are going to impact the accuracy of your mean. So instead, you would need to do the median because that is not impacted by the outliers. Then you'd have to say how you calculate it. And there are 2 key things you have to say to calculate the mean. First of all, you would need to sort all of your values into numerical order. Then you pick the middle value. And a lot of people didn't say sort the numbers into numerical order. They just said pick the middle value. Ooh, I just had to quickly move TikTok because my phone was about to pop out. They just said pick the middle value, not the sort first. Right. Yeah, those are my key things, actually. There's a few others that are coming up in TikToks to come, but I'll leave those to come in my TikTok posts and my Instagram posts, and see if there's any other questions. If not, I'm going to leave it there for today, keeping it a little bit shorter. Someone said, are you able to share this topic on a different video? I'm running out of battery. This is going to be saved and it'll be uploaded onto my YouTube channel and my Instagram. So if you're the person that just said you're running out of battery, it will go straight onto my Instagram and my YouTube channel. You just need to have a look under the live section. OCR, so this, what I've been talking about so far is AQA. If you do take OCR, my OCR active recall workbook went live today. It's been in the making for a long time. And I made the AQA one. I actually got an OCR teacher to make the OCR one, who's been teaching for 15 years and is also an examiner. So the OCR one is 100% OCR specific, with created by a highly experienced teacher and examiner. So that went live today, the OCR workbook, active recall one. You know, I normally on these lives go through my active recall workbook, but I do the AQA one. This is now an OCR version. So that is linked. Was that missestrick.co.uk? But if you can't find it, you can send me a message on Instagram. So someone said, where do you buy the OCR workbook? Yeah, send me a message on Instagram. Just literally the DM can just say OCR and I'll know what you mean and I'll send you the link. So just go onto my Instagram, send me a message that says OCR and I can send you the link to that. Right, let's see. When I solve some of the past exam questions and come to test myself on similar questions, I don't get the marks, but I'm not entirely sure why. I think sometimes what happens is when people do past paper questions, it's a balance between, yes, you want to learn common marking points, but sometimes you might learn just the answer for that question. So then when another question comes up that appears to be similar, you just write what was the answer for the previous one for this one because it was similar, without realizing maybe subtle differences in the information in the question or subtle differences in the question itself. And therefore what you've put thinking, I've definitely got it because that's what it was last time, you might have had to slightly tweak the emphasis of something or saying difference or correlation. There might have been some slight change, which then might mean you go from having what you think is a correct answer to no marks. So it's, yes, do past paper questions, learn key marking points that commonly come up, but try and realise through practice that you do always have to slightly change the answer, and it's frustrating, but it just comes with practice and practice and practice, getting used to how to tweak answers and seeing what fits. Someone says, I hate biology A level. Why on earth are you giving up your time on a Thursday then to come and hear me talk about it? Go and enjoy yourself. Go do something that isn't biology if you hate it. Or maybe you hate it, but you know you have to do it and you have to learn. That might be a different thing. Maybe you just want the help. Right. Any tip on math skills such as working a ratio using a graph? Working out ratios from a graph, I mean, it completely depends on exactly what the question is. So you might need to read off the two axes and just divide one by the other, but I don't know exactly what the question is to specifically be able to answer that. If you do find the maths questions hard, by the way, which that is what I find the hardest, the maths part in biology, when I see a maths question come up, it's like, right, deep breath, I can do it, I am the teacher, I can do it. And through lots of practice, I pretty much always can. But because I know so many other people are like me and maths isn't their strong part of biology, even sometimes people that are amazing at maths A level say they find the maths in biology really hard. I know that's a common running thing, and the maths is 10% of the grade. So if you can conquer the maths, that could seriously boost up the grade that you get. So for that reason, coming in a couple of months, I have got a maths version of the Active Recall workbook coming out. So for all of the key math skills that repeatedly come up, there is going to be a little explanation of what the math skill is and how to do it in a way that even me, someone that isn't a natural mathematician, is able to understand. Then a model example, and then some examples for you to try, and the answers are all at the back. So if maths is something that you are struggling with, that is coming in a couple of months. It'll be ready before your A-levels. It'll be ready before Easter for you to be able to practice the maths, get those 10% of marks. And then you should be able to go in feeling super confident about those maths questions to help boost your grade. Watching the grade boundaries will be this year for AQA. Oh, I've posted that on Instagram and TikTok already, but because I thought quite a few people might have missed it, I am filming that again tomorrow, and it'll be going live on my Instagram and TikTok next week. What is my cat doing? I think only YouTube will be able to see. My cat is climbing up the wall. Let me twist this a little bit so maybe Instagram can see. There she is. What are you up to, B? I think maybe my ring light is distracting her and it's making shadows on the wall, so she's trying to catch shadows. What are you up to? Funny girl. Right. I think we're going to leave it there. B, you can be our lovely end to this live. Right, enjoy the rest of your week, everyone. I go live every Thursday. This is recorded on my Instagram and YouTube, so you can get access to that. And as I said, if you want the OCR workbook, just send me a DM on Instagram. I don't read my TikTok DMs, by the way, because I get so many, I just delete them all. It's just I can't keep up. But on Instagram, I do. So send me a message on there. And, oh, B, you're off. Goodbye, and I shall see you all next week.